I've carried this secret for years, pretending it never happened. My family calls me a traitor, but they don't know the truth of what I endured or what I did. Some nights, I wonder if I deserve forgiveness or punishment.
Welcome to Reddit Toxic Family Telltales channel. New episode every day.
My own mother held me down while my father arranged for me to be married off to a man older, crueler, and more dangerous than I could have imagined. So I ran. I exposed everything. And now, years later, she's sick, begging me to return because, in her words, we're family, but family never protected me. In my family, the moment a girl got her first period, she was ready. Didn't matter if you were 12, 13, 14, that blood was basically a green light for them to hand you over to some man 3 times your age. And the scariest part? I grew up thinking this was normal. That's just how it was supposed to be, until I turned 11. Because that's when I watched it happen to my cousin, Mayam. 3 days after her very first period, she was promised to a 43-year-old man. His last 2 wives, dead before they even turned 20. Nobody said it out loud, but we all knew why. That night, I made a decision. I would stop eating. Not because I hated food, not because of body image, but because I noticed something. The thinner the girls were, the longer it took them to get their period. And I knew delaying mine was the only weapon I had. Turns out, biology agrees, your body actually needs enough fat before puberty kicks in. Who knew? The other girls nicknamed me Skeleton. And honestly, I wore it like armor. But starving myself didn't stop the wife training. Every Friday, from 1 in the morning until 10, I was forced to serve endless meals to the men of my family. I wasn't allowed to talk. I wasn't allowed to look anyone in the eye. If I did, 10 lashes with a belt. They'd hand me scalding hot pots with bare hands so I could toughen up for kitchen work. My mom would smear whitening cream on my face every night, insisting that pale skin would make me a beautiful bride. And through it all, I smiled, played the perfect daughter, talked about how excited I was to be a wife, to have children. Inside, I was screaming. By 14, I still hadn't gotten my period. That's when everything changed. See, we weren't in some faraway village. We were in the US the whole time. My mom had just brainwashed us into believing this was normal. That girls who didn't follow these rules ended up lonely, ugly, and worthless. But one day at school, I slipped. I wore a t-shirt, and my teacher noticed how painfully skinny I was. She pulled me aside for a private meeting. While she stepped out, she forgot to lock her drawer. Inside, I found books and pamphlets, marriage laws, your rights as a teenager, when culture becomes crime. I froze. I'd never seen anything like it. I stole the thinnest pamphlet and tucked it into my waistband. That night, in secret, I memorized every page. Numbers for shelters, how to contact CPS, the exact phrases that would force a teacher to file a report. For the first time in my life, I realized this wasn't just culture, it was illegal. So I started a group. In my uncle's tool shed, 6 of my younger cousins who hadn't gotten their period yet. We practiced in whispers. They're forcing me to marry. I'm only 13. Please help. I thought I was buying us time. But then, at 15, my body betrayed me. I bled for the first time while serving food that morning. It stained through my dress. My mother screamed with joy. The women of the house rushed in, kissing my cheeks, congratulating me like I just won the lottery. By nightfall, my father had chosen my groom, a construction tycoon named Hamad Habibi, a man who'd already buried 2 wives before they reached 23. Kidney failure, the death certificate said. The women whispered it was from pregnancies too close together. 2 days later, one of my cousins from the shed, Anna, got her first period too. By nightfall, she was promised to a 51-year-old man with 8 children older than her. Her face, I'll never forget it. The light in her eyes went out as they haggled over her bride price like she was cattle. That night, I slipped her my notebook. Every phone number, every address, every detail I'd memorized. Tomorrow, I whispered, tell your science teacher. Use the exact words we practiced. She looked terrified. What about you? My wedding's not for 2 weeks. I'll figure something out. I lied, but I didn't figure it out. Because that night, there was a knock on the door. CPS. My father's confusion turned to pure rage as they questioned him about underage brides, about forced marriages. When they left, the entire family turned on me. They found my journal within an hour. My father burned it in front of everyone, screaming that I was diseased, corrupted, a cancer that needed to be cut out. Then he made his announcement. The wedding is tomorrow, before she poisons anyone else. And just like that, my time was up. As I factory reset my phone, Ms. Rodriguez was frantically making calls. CPS supervisors, social workers, legal aid. Over and over, the same answer. Without immediate physical danger, without solid proof, their hands were tied. And then we heard it. Car doors slamming outside. She rushed to the window, peeked out, then snapped the blinds shut. Her face drained of color. Stay quiet, she whispered, locking the classroom door. Footsteps echoed through the empty school hallway. Multiple sets. Male voices. Arabic, then English. We know she's here. My father's voice rang out. Calm, confident, manipulative. Her phone shows this location. She's sick. She needs her medication. The doorknob rattled. First a polite knock, then harder. "I'm calling 911, Ms. Rodriguez hissed, reaching for her phone. But I grabbed her hand. "Wait, let me show you something first." I rolled up my sleeves, revealing the circular scars burned into my arms from years of carrying scalding pots barehanded. The bruises from that very morning, when my mother had forced me into the wedding dress. And then, I lifted my nightgown just enough to expose the lash marks across my back. Proof carved into my skin. Her hands shook as she snapped photo after photo. "Why didn't you ever show anyone this before?" she whispered. "Because I thought it was normal," I said, my voice cracking. "Until I read your pamphlets. That was enough." She dialed. "There are multiple men trying to break into my classroom," she told the 911 dispatcher, her voice firm now. "I have a student in danger. Please send help." The pounding on the door intensified. Then came my uncle's voice. "We have her medication. She's bipolar, schizophrenic. She makes up these stories. Check the parking lot cameras," I urged. "I came alone. If they've got medicine with them, they brought it just now." She immediately called the school's security office. Mr. Williams, the guard, promised to pull the footage. Sirens wailed in the distance. And just like that, silence. Their footsteps retreated down the hall. When the police finally arrived, my father was already outside, wearing his nicest suit, holding prescription bottles with my name on them. His face. Oh, he'd switched back into business mode. Calm, rational, all concern. "Thank God you're here," he told the officers. "My daughter is sick. She has delusions. She tells horrible lies. We're just trying to get her back on her medication." The officers separated us. One stayed with me and Ms. Rodriguez. Two went to talk with my father and uncles. "She's never taken medication in her life," Ms. Rodriguez insisted, shoving her phone at the officer. "Look at these injuries." The officer frowned at me. "Cuts, bruises. Could be self-inflicted." "Then check when those prescriptions were filled," I snapped. "If I'm so sick, why isn't there any record of doctors, hospitals, therapy?" Ms. Rodriguez pulled out her laptop like a weapon. "I have her essays, 2 years worth. Every assignment she turned in, she hid pieces of her reality inside them. She handed them over, essays about cooking lessons that actually meant burn scars, stories about preparing for marriage that really meant beatings for making eye contact." The officer's face darkened with every page. Then Mr. Williams appeared with the security footage. Sure enough, it showed my father and uncles arriving with those prescription bottles already in hand. I turned to Ms. Rodriguez. "Call Anna Mansour. She made a report yesterday. She'll back me up." She tried, but Anna's family was gone. Moved out of state that morning. Phone disconnected. No trace. My father must have felt the tide turning, because his mask cracked. He barked orders in Arabic, telling my uncles to call the family lawyer, ranting about the dowry being non-refundable. That one word, dowry, was his mistake. "Sir, what dowry?" the officer asked coldly. My father froze. "I misspoke. Your English seemed fine 5 minutes ago," the officer shot back. The next hour blurred into chaos. More officers. A CPS emergency supervisor. Even someone from the DA's office. My father alternated between lawsuits, pleas about religion, parental rights, family honor. But the evidence was stacking high against him, the photos, the essays, the fake prescriptions, the protective order. Finally, the CPS supervisor said it. "We're placing her in emergency protective custody." My father lost it. He lunged toward me, screaming curses in Arabic, spitting venom about what happens to girls who betray their families. 2 officers pinned him back while I shook in my seat. Ms. Rodriguez gripped my hand tight. "You're safe now." A coordinator named Margaret arrived, exhausted but determined. She took one look at my shredded feet and immediately called for medical transport. "Those cuts need to be treated. Now." At the hospital, doctors removed shards of glass from my heel while Margaret worked the phones, searching desperately for placement. Foster homes? Full. Women's shelters? Full. Specialized placements? Full. Theodora Whitman. That was the name Ms. Rodriguez came up with. A retired nurse certified for emergency placement, and someone who'd handled cases like mine before. By nightfall, I was at her house. It was modest but fortified. Cameras on every corner, alarms on the windows, a tall fence around the property. She met me at the door, sturdy, sharp-eyed, but kind. "Come in, dear," she said. "You're safe here." The room she gave me was small, but it had something priceless. A lock on the inside. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every car that passed outside made my chest tighten. Around 3 a.m., Theodora found me at the window, wide-eyed. "They came for the last girl, too," she told me quietly. Her father and brothers stood right at that gate, demanding she be returned. But I built this house for safety. The police response here is under 2 minutes. Sunday was all about safety planning. A new phone, new number, new routines. Trusted neighbors identified. Plans for what to do if anyone tried to approach me. But Monday morning, the games began. My aunt and 2 cousins appeared at the gate with containers of food, pleading through the intercom. "She's here. We know she's here. We just want to talk. Her grandmother is sick with worry." Theodora didn't answer. She just called the police. Tuesday came flowers. A giant bouquet with a card. "Our hearts are broken. Please forgive us. Love, Mama. By Wednesday, I was enrolled in a new school under sealed records. The counselor promised I'd be safe. Still, I spotted one of my uncle's trucks idling in the parking lot after school. Theodora marched right up, phone recording, and escorted me out. Let them know we see them, she muttered. Let them know we're not afraid. Thursday brought legal papers. My father was demanding my return, claiming I'd been brainwashed and was losing my cultural identity. Patricia, the lawyer assigned to me, just shook her head. Standard tactics. We'll counter with abuse evidence and testimony. But you need to be ready. They'll drag this into court. By Friday morning, my face was plastered across Facebook. My father's post showed my photo beside a plea. Please help us find our daughter. She's mentally ill and has been taken by people filling her head with lies. Hundreds of shares, comments offering prayers, money, even rewards for information. Then came the betrayal that broke me. A video surfaced of my little cousin Margie, one of the girls I tried to protect in the tool shed. She sat beside her mother, speaking carefully rehearsed lines. She told us terrible lies, said our parents wanted to hurt us. She made us scared of our own culture. Please, if you see her, help bring her home. Her eyes were empty. Theodora wrapped her arms around me as I cried. They're using everything you love against you. That doesn't mean what you did was wrong. Saturday, my cousin Sarah showed up at Theodora's door, disguised as a courier with an envelope of legal documents. Inside were photos. My grandmother looking frail, my sister at her birthday, my mother crying while cooking my favorite dish. Guilt weapons. But the last photo, it was Anna, my brave cousin who'd tried to report. She was back with her parents. Engagement ring on her finger, her eyes utterly lifeless. On the back, she came home. She's happy now. You could be too. My stomach dropped. They brought her back. They're going to marry her off anyway. By Sunday, men were photographing Theodora's house. By Monday, the courtroom was packed. My entire extended family filled one side, dressed to the nines, glaring at me like I was filth. My parents sat in front, my mother dabbing her eyes dramatically. Their lawyer painted a picture of a loving family, destroyed by Western propaganda. Character witnesses paraded up. The imam, family friends, even my pediatrician, who admitted he never saw signs of abuse. Of course not. My mother never let me be alone with him. Patricia presented our evidence. My injuries, my essays, the fake prescriptions, the footage. Ms. Rodriguez testified, describing my hidden cries for help. But their lawyer tore her apart, painting her as the outsider. The manipulator filling my head with poison. When it was my turn, I told the truth. About the burns, the beatings, the dead wives. Patricia cited death certificates. 2 women, both under 23, both kidney failure, both multiple pregnancies. The judge frowned. Kidney failure is medical. Are you alleging homicide? I'm alleging a pattern, Patricia shot back. But the judge wasn't convinced. Without Anna's testimony, without more proof, doubt lingered. And then, the doors opened. A young woman walked in, limp in her step, hijab framing her pale face. My name is Fatima Habibi, she said softly. I was Hamad Habibi's first wife. I didn't die. The courtroom exploded. Gasps, whispers. My father's lawyer practically leaping out of his chair screaming objection, while my relatives hissed to each other like a nest of snakes. Fatima didn't flinch. She stood there, steady, her voice clear. I was 15 when I married him, she said. By 20, I had 4 children, and my kidneys were failing. My family told the world I was dead. But a nurse at the hospital saved me, helped me disappear. I've been hiding for 5 years. And then she looked right at me. When I saw the Facebook posts about you, I knew I couldn't stay silent. I couldn't let him destroy another girl the way he destroyed me. The air in that courtroom felt electric. Every word she spoke cut deeper. Pregnancies forced too close together. Beatings when she didn't conceive fast enough. Her family choosing reputation over her life. They'd rather say I died, she said bitterly, than admit their daughter left her husband. Her words landed like a hammer blow. That's what awaits girls who try to escape, she warned. Death or erasure. My father's lawyer tried to tear her apart, of course. But Fatima had come prepared. Medical records, photos, proof of kidney damage from repeated pregnancies, even pictures of the fake grave her family had staged. There was no spinning this away. When the judge returned, his ruling was swift. The protective order was permanent. No contact. Any violation would mean criminal charges. My father stood slowly, his face contorted with rage. In Arabic, he spat, "You are no daughter of mine. You are dead to us." "Sit down, sir," the judge barked. But then my mother rose too. She ripped off her hijab, a gesture of absolute rejection. "We have no daughter," she declared. "She died today." That walk out of the courtroom felt like walking through fire. My relatives turned their backs on me, some muttering curses, some spitting on the floor as I passed. But Fatima touched my arm gently, whispering, "You're not alone. There are more of us than they want to admit." Outside, Theodora had the car waiting, engine running. Patricia, my lawyer, leaned close as we drove away. "It's not over," she warned. "They'll try other tactics now. Stay vigilant." And she was right. The harassment evolved almost immediately. My old social media accounts, hacked, reactivated, filled with posts about how I was mentally unstable. Photos of me doctored to look wild-eyed and unhinged. Shops in the community stopped serving Theodora. "We don't want trouble," one owner muttered. "Your foster girl's family, they're powerful." Then came the lawsuits. Not criminal, but civil. Defamation, emotional distress, alienation of affection. All baseless. All designed to bleed us dry with legal fees. "They're trying to bankrupt us into silence," Patricia explained. But the darkest tactic? They turned the other girls against me. Videos began surfacing online, my cousins, my friends, girls I tried to save, sitting stiffly in front of cameras, repeating rehearsed lines. "She told us our parents wanted to sell us," one said flatly. "She made us afraid of our own families." I could see the fear in their eyes. They weren't speaking freely. They were parroting what they'd been forced to say. But to outsiders, it looked damning. Security was tightened after we found footprints in the garden one morning. Police couldn't prove who had been there, but we knew. They were watching. "Maybe it's time to consider witness protection," Margaret suggested one night, but all I could think of was Fatima. 5 years in hiding, living like a ghost, and the girls still trapped. If I ran now, I'd be abandoning them. "No," I said. "I stay. I fight. I prove it's possible." And then came the so-called mediators. A woman showed up at Theodora's door, claiming to work for a cultural reconciliation service. "We specialize in reuniting families," she purred. "Perhaps we can arrange a supervised meeting." Theodora shut the door in her face, but pamphlets were left behind. All about the tragedy of cultural disconnection, the healing power of family unity. They tried again and again. A therapist specializing in reintegration, a religious leader offering mediation, a distant relative begging me to visit my dying grandmother. It was all manipulation, and it was relentless. Then Patricia called with news that shook me to my core. "Anna wants to meet with you." For a second, my heart soared. Then suspicion hit. "Is it a trap?" "I don't know," Patricia admitted. "She reached out through her own lawyer. Says she has something you need to hear." The meeting was set at Patricia's office, under heavy security. When Anna walked in, I barely recognized her. Thin, hollow-eyed, moving like she carried invisible chains. "They made me go back," she whispered. "Said they'd hurt my little sister if I didn't." Tears welled. "Anya, I'm so sorry." She leaned in urgently. "Listen, they've given up on getting you back. But that's not good. Now they want to make an example of you, to show other girls what happens if you betray the family." My blood ran cold. "What do you mean?" "I don't know details. Just that they talked about your new school. About sending a message everyone would understand. Soon. Maybe this week." She squeezed my hands. "Be careful. Change everything. They're watching you, learning your routines." Before security escorted her out, she pressed a scrap of paper into my palm. An address. "Other girls," she mouthed silently. That night, Theodora and I made plans. Days off school. New routes. Never alone. But we underestimated their determination. Wednesday morning, the alarm shrieked. Not the outer sensors, but the window sensor in my bedroom. "Lock yourself in the bathroom," Theodora shouted. Already on the phone with 911. I ran, hearing glass shatter behind me. Male voices shouting in Arabic. Not my father or uncles, they were too smart. These were hired hands. The bathroom door was solid wood, but it wouldn't last. They pounded, snarling, "Come out, girl. Don't make this harder. Your family misses you." I grabbed whatever I could find, hairspray, scissors, pathetic weapons against grown men. The frame cracked. One more hit and they'd be through. And then sirens. Louder than thunder. The pounding stopped. Footsteps thundered out. Car doors slammed. By the time police swarmed inside, the intruders were gone, leaving shattered glass and muddy footprints behind. Margaret arrived, grim-faced. "This placement is compromised. We're moving you tonight." As I shoved my few belongings into a bag, my hands shook. But not from fear, from resolve. Because I remembered the paper Anna had given me. Other girls. Still trapped. Still waiting. "I need to make a call first," I told Theodora. I dialed Ms. Rodriguez. "Remember those pamphlets?" I whispered. "I think it's time we made more. A lot more. Because they could hack my accounts, smear my name, hunt me down in the night. But what they couldn't stop was knowledge. Every girl who learned she had rights was a victory they couldn't erase. They hadn't broken me. They'd ignited me. By Wednesday, things weren't just tense, they were accelerating. Patricia called me first thing in the morning. Her voice was tight. "The Journalist's editor got legal threats. Your father's lawyer is claiming defamation, threatening lawsuits so big, they'd bankrupt the publisher." Before I could even process that, Margaret arrived at the safe house with news that made my stomach drop. "One of the girls who called you last week? Her family found out. They're moving her out of state tomorrow." My chest tightened. "Which one?" I asked, though deep down I already knew. "Samira," Margaret confirmed softly. 16 years old. Brave. The oldest. The one most likely to run. She was supposed to meet with a counselor that very day. Instead, they were rushing her across state lines, And once that happened, girls almost never resurfaced. I made the call. The courthouse. If she can get there before they take her, that's her only shot. Margaret was already dialing, alerting authorities. But I wasn't going to sit back and wait. Against everyone's protests, I insisted on going too. Not inside, too risky, but close enough that Samira might see me. The retired officer drove, parking discreetly where we could watch the building. 2 hours passed. Nothing. Then a van pulled up, and there she was, Samira, sandwiched between two ants gripping her arms. Not guiding her to safety. No, dragging her toward passport documentation. They weren't just moving her. They were preparing to take her out of the country. Through the car window, our eyes met. For a fraction of a second, the world went still. I pressed my hand to the glass, mouthing a single word. Run. She didn't run. She couldn't. Not with their claws in her arms. But she remembered something else. Something from my playbook. At the checkpoint, Samira suddenly dropped to the floor, screaming about stomach pain. The scene exploded into chaos. Officers rushed in, calling medical. Her aunts panicked, yanking at her arms, insisting she was fine. But Samira clung to one officer's hand, refusing to let go. I couldn't hear what she said, but I saw his face change. He spoke into his radio. More officers appeared. CPS workers arrived within minutes. Her aunts shouted, pleaded, lied. But Samira just kept crying, clutching the officer's sleeve. And then, she was pulled away from them, into safety. They lost another one. The officer driving me whispered grimly as we pulled away. Thursday blurred into legal meetings. Patricia was building a case against the intimidation tactics, the harassment, the fake meds, the threats. The journalist's article found another publisher, one bold enough to take the risk. And more girls were coming forward. Not just from my community, but others who'd heard whispers of the network. You started something, Patricia told me. Something they can't stop. Friday morning, the attack came. Sirens wailed outside, not unusual, but these stopped close. Too close. Through the window, I saw it. Flames licking the sky. A car burning in the lot. Not ours. A decoy. One that hadn't been there the night before. Inside the trunk, dolls, dressed in white wedding gowns. Their faces melted beyond recognition. The message was sickeningly clear. They want you terrified, Margaret said. We're moving you again. But I was done running. No, I snapped. That's what they want. To keep me scared, hidden, silenced. I'm done giving them what they want. After hours of arguing, we compromised. I'd stay. But with more security, off-duty officers rotating shifts, panic buttons linked straight to 911, never sleeping in the same room twice. And then hope. Saturday morning, the article dropped online early. Within hours, it went viral. Comment after comment from women who'd lived through similar horrors. Organizations I'd never even heard of reached out, offering resources, shelters, lawyers. But the best message came through a burner number. Just one text. 12 girls. 3 states. They have the notebooks now. They're making copies. It was from Anna. She was still alive. Still fighting. By Monday, my family made their final move. Not violence this time, erasure. The community newsletter announced it. I was officially disowned. Not just by my parents, but by the entire extended family. My name erased from family trees. My photos stripped from walls. Anyone who spoke to me risked the same fate. To them, it was worse than death. It was as if I'd never existed. But instead of despair, I felt relief. They'd played their ultimate card. And I was still standing. Tuesday, girls noticed. They saw me erased, and saw that I was still alive. Still here. Still fighting. That day alone, 3 more filed emergency orders. Wednesday, I sat with leaders from organizations across the country. They wanted to formalize what we'd started. We'll call it the Freedom Network, one woman said. Hidden in plain sight, just like your notebooks. Thursday was my renewal hearing for the protective order. This time, the courtroom wasn't filled with family enemies. It was filled with survivors. Girls who'd escaped. Social workers. Teachers. Allies. My father's lawyer made one last feeble attempt. The disownment proves the family wants no contact. The judge cut him off. Disownment does not erase threats. Or crimes. The order stands. As I left, Fatima was waiting. She'd driven 3 hours just to hug me. 2 women, 2 survivors, refusing to disappear. Cameras flashed. But for once, I didn't care. By Friday, the Freedom Network held its first official meeting. 15 volunteers. Ms. Rodriguez, Theodora, Margaret. Plans for distribution routes, safe houses, emergency response systems. What started with a stolen pamphlet was becoming something unshakable. That night, my phone buzzed again. Another unknown number. Another terrified voice. I found your notebook, a girl whispered. Can you help me? I grabbed my pen. Yes, tell me everything. And as she poured out her fear, I realized something. My family could erase my name. My community could curse me, burn me, chase me, but they couldn't erase what I'd built. I wasn't just one girl anymore. I was proof. Proof that their daughters had a choice. Proof that survival was possible. Proof that freedom could spread, from whispered words to hidden notebooks to networks that would outlive every threat. The war wasn't over, Maybe it never would be. But as I guided another frightened girl toward hope, I knew this much. We'd already won the battle that mattered most.
Thanks for watching. Today's train wreck is over, but tomorrow's ride is already on track. Subscribe so you don't miss it.